Alright, now take a look at this. What if I told you the media was swarming with CIA operatives, spies, and disinformation agents? And not only that, most of the news you hear is not just fake, it is state-sponsored propaganda. Now, if anybody pays attention to the political claptrap that we call the mainstream media, you'll see that there is a gigantic divide between reality from one side to the other. And exactly why do you think that is? Now, for the uninitiated, there is something called Operation Mockingbird. And this, according to Wikipedia, was an alleged large-scale program of the United States CIA that began in the early years of the Cold War and attempted to manipulate news media for propaganda purposes. It funded student and cultural organizations and magazines as front organizations. So notably, in the Wikipedia entry, it says alleged large-scale program of the CIA. However, documents have actually surfaced proving the existence of Operation Mockingbird. Those documents are on the blackvault.com, thanks to John Greenwald Jr., fantastic guy, does FOIA requests and gets government documents. This is an interesting thing. So there was Operation Mockingbird, which was that large-scale program that there are documents that prove it exists. And it gets better, or worse, as the case may be. Something called Project Mockingbird was a telephone intercept activity that was conducted between March 12, 1963 and June 15, 1963, and targeted two Washington-based newsmen who at the time had been publishing news articles based on and frequently quoting classified materials of this agency and others, including top secret and special intelligence. So they were wiretapping journalists that were coming up with classified information. And again, if you listen and pay attention to the mainstream media, there are leaks all the time today, all the time. And so we have one thing or the other. We have sanctioned leaks or we have unsanctioned leaks. And you understand the difference is huge. If you sanction a leak, it's released by probably a member of Congress or their staff for a political result. And not only that, it's a felony under the Espionage Act. However, these rarely get tracked down and prosecuted. And of course, there's a reason for that. Noam Chomsky is an American linguist and intellectual that postulated exactly this. He said, "The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. Even encourage the more critical and dissident views. That gives people the sense that there's free thinking going on, while all the time the presuppositions of the system are being reinforced by the limits put on by the range of the debate." Now this is exactly right out of the 1984 by George Orwell, that playbook. You only allow speech that you find acceptable, which in 1984 is newspeak. They change the words even. They eliminate words so that people don't even have dissident language that they can use to fight back by commiserating and communicating and planning with each other. Now, why is this worrisome, you might ask? Well, it is widely known that Anderson Cooper of CNN was actually working for the CIA back in his college days. He was training to be an operative in some capacity and decided, coming from a super wealthy, privileged family, his mother is Gloria Vanderbilt, by the way, that he found CIA work boring and somehow ended up with a ridiculous paying job at CNN as the country's favorite silver-haired, silver-tongued media lying devil. Now, big whoop, you might say. Why does any of this even matter? Many of us know this. The ones that don't probably don't care. But let me explain exactly why this matters. If you look at the way social media is actually censoring political speech in certain capacities, this is the key to everything. Now, to think that the social media networks are not working directly with the CIA or the government in some capacity is foolhardy, in my opinion. And here's why. Noted by Politico, they say, The downside of outsourcing national security coverage to the TV spies is obvious. They aren't in the business of breaking news or uncovering secrets. Their first loyalty, and this is no slam, is to the agency from which they hail. Imagine a TV network covering the auto industry through the eyes of dozens of paid former auto executives, and you begin to appreciate the current peculiarities. So I think it's extremely important to ask yourself, when somebody brings up any political anything, how fired up do you get and how passionate do you get about it? Then think on top of that, why? It's almost as if you were told that this is the limit of the conversation, and when somebody brings it up, you're blue or you're red by definition, and you're supposed to get fired up. Somebody's telling you exactly how to react and when to react. But of course, being that they're insiders from the government, they're not telling you how to further your own interest. They're explaining to you through the media how to further the interest of the government and the corporations that sponsor and basically own the government. Some countries, they call them the oligarchy. And so the really alarming part is that in the old days, Project Mockingbird and Operation Mockingbird did this in a clandestine way. Currently, we have an unbelievable amount of ex-CIA spooks and ex-FBI informants, and whatever you want to call them, agents or whatever they are, partisan hacks, whatever you think it is, that are definitely protecting their pensions and their career in government, whether it be good or bad. Now, James Clapper, Andrew McCabe, James Baker, Josh Campbell, Asha Rapaga, Stephen Hall, Phil Mudd, Susan Hennessy, Samantha Vinograd, James Gagliano. Now on to MSNBC, we got John Brennan, who's also been on CNN. We got Frank Figliuzzi, we got Chuck Rosenberg, we've got Malcolm Nance, and we've got Jeremy Bash. And these are all people that have worked in some capacity for the FBI, the CIA, and of course, the government. And now they're pundits on television telling you exactly what to think and when to think it. And I can't help but think 1984 and go back to that quote by Noam Chomsky. The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion, but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. Hey, if you're still there and you love this kind of topic, all things aliens, conspiracy, and the paranormal, why don't you come hang out with us? We live stream twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. Check us out, Troubled Minds Radio, and you can find the website at troubledminds.org. Don't forget to leave us a thumbs up, don't forget to share, and don't forget to come back for the next episode and the next live streams. Thank you for listening.